If I'm being honest with you, I'm kind of sad that it's over, but I am happy that it happened, even though it got a little crazy with some of the allegations that were getting thrown around. But you've got to give respect to Drake and Kendrick because we've not had a big back and forth like this since maybe like a Pac and Biggie. Like this is the biggest thing of this era. And I don't know if we're ever gonna get anything like this again. So respect to them. Now that it's over, I feel like a lot of people are debating who got the better of who had the best diss tracks, what was the rank of them. Like, how do we feel about everything that went down? And obviously, I might have a little bit of a different opinion than yours. And you guys that have watched my music reaction videos probably already have an idea of where I'm going with some of it. A lot of shit went down. And I feel like we're going to be digesting this for quite a while. This is something that's going to get talked about probably for years in hip hop. And again, I don't know that we're ever going to have two artists of this size ever go back and forth. So before we dive into this, I just want to let you guys know that tonight, twitch.tv/DwayneTV, I'll be live baking a pie. It's going to be a scuffed stream. I don't know how to cook, but I told you guys I would try. So it's a little off topic, but I just wanted to let you know, and then we'll probably do some gaming afterwards. Friday and Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We usually do music streams. Anyways, let's get to the tier list. I don't know how long it's going to take me to go through this. I'm going to have some things to say about some of the tracks, but otherwise, I'm just going to move through it. We're going to get these rated. I'm curious to see what you guys think down below. So starting with first-person shooter, which is obviously not the start of all this. There's Control you can talk about. Apparently, there's some interviews that Drake has had. There might even be other shots in some songs. But this is what they gave us, so we're going to work with what we got here. I'm not going to rate this super highly. I like the song, but I feel like it's not a direct, straightforward diss track. So all of the ones that aren't just a complete diss track, they're not going to get super high rated because I feel like they're more so bait just to try to bring people out. So I'd put that at a C. Like that, I'll probably put it a B because I feel like it's a little bit more direct and I like some of the shit that he said in it. It was pretty fire, but again, it's not a full-on diss track. Now, as far as J. Cole's 7-minute drill, I'd probably also give that a B because I don't feel like he was going extremely hard. I feel like it was more so telling him, if we do this, this is what I'm going to do to you. So again, it's not like I'm going all in. So I don't think that it needs to be rated all that highly, but obviously I think J. Cole did his thing with what he was trying to do. And from there, we start to dive into some things. Now, as far as Drake's push-ups, I actually rated that one pretty highly. I'm going to put it at an A. I don't think it's S tier, but I feel like this was a good spark to get everything going. I loved what he said. I laughed at some points of it. I feel like the way that he rapped in it was really well put together. It delivered what he was trying to say really well. And at this point, I thought this man was going to win it, hands down. I might have been in the minority, but I didn't think there was a chance Kendrick was going to be able to top it. And it's not that Kendrick isn't a dope rapper. I just wasn't sure that his style was going to translate to diss tracks in the way that I feel like Drake's can. And so I was all in thinking Drake taking this whole entire battle. But as things went on, it got a little shaky and stuff started to shift around. Now, the next thing that dropped was Rick Ross's diss. And I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like people highly rated it. I'm going to put it at a C. I'll put it above first-person shooter. I don't think it was that great. Like, I don't feel like he said anything that amazing. He kept playing on the whole white boy angle, which I get some people just don't see a big problem with it. But I'm like, if you took that and did it in a reverse way, let's just say Eminem and Drake were going at it, and Eminem started calling him Black Boy, you would run that man through the ringer. Like, it wouldn't even be funny. But it's okay that Rick does it. So I don't like the double standard. I feel like it's a little bit weird. That's just the way that I took it. And I just overall just don't think that he really said all that much in the diss track. I thought it sounded good. And I like that he actually felt like he was delivering almost like Pac does, which was really cool. But as far as a diss track, it wasn't all that amazing. Then we dive into Tailor-Made Freestyle. I'd probably give it a B because, again, I don't think that it was like a crazy full out diss track. I'd put it above Like That and 7-Minute Drill, though. But it wasn't like this, I'm going super hard. It just kind of seemed like, yo, I dropped push-ups and now I'm going to try to just bait you. Like, yo, come on. Are you going to respond? Are you not? I did think that the Pac and the Snoop thing was creative, personally. I know a lot of people didn't necessarily feel that way. I enjoyed it. I thought that it was pretty dope, but I get it. Like, he got in trouble, had to take it down, and that's on him. He should have cleared the voice and all that kind of stuff. But for me, it wasn't that big of a deal. Then I think we had the Like That remix from Kanye, which I'm going to be honest with you, that shit's a D. He barely even said it, like, right? It was like a bar or two. And it was, the whole track was just really weird to me, unless I heard the wrong version of it. So for me, I'm throwing that in D. I don't think that had anything on any of these other tracks, and it just doesn't really deserve a place, but it's here in the list, so we're going to throw it somewhere. Then we had Euphoria. I'd probably rate Euphoria an A. I'm not sure yet if I would put it above Push-Ups or not, but I do feel like it was up there. Like, that shit let me know, oh, Kendrick my man could okay, he could throw hands too in this shit. I wasn't ready for it. So I really did enjoy that. I thought it was dope. I'll be honest, I might put it above. It's tough. I might have to put it above push-ups. It's just at this point it's difficult because Kendrick is coming straight at Drake. Whereas Drake was still kind of dancing around dissing a bunch of different people, right? And so I do have to take that into account, but that's also his choice. And I mean, I get it at the time with push-ups why he did that, because there was a lot of people coming at him. So he felt like, let me address everybody in a track. But once Kendrick responded back, I feel like he should have stopped addressing everybody. Like Family Matters was good, but it should have been just at Kendrick, because you should have realized Rick don't matter. ASAP don't matter. Like, I mean, no offense to these guys, they're good artists, but when it comes to this dissing shit and what Kendrick is doing, you should have just focused on Kendrick at that point. So we'll get to that as we get there. And then the next thing I believe was 616 in LA. That's right. I had to refresh my memory. I actually rated this one pretty highly. I would probably put this one A as well, but I'd say that it's above Euphoria and it's above Push-Ups. I just like the way that he approached it. I know that some people feel like in some of these diss tracks, Kendrick kind of slow rolled the intros, but I feel like they had a purpose, right? Like in this one, yes, he talked about himself a little in the beginning and some of the lifestyle that he lives, but then he basically was saying that to say that it's a thanks to God that I have this. And then he was kind of apologizing to God and saying, you know, my confessions are yours, but I've got to go to war. And I thought that that was dope. It was him kind of saying like, listen, this isn't something I would normally do. And, you know, I have a lot of respect for God and he probably wouldn't want me to do this, but this is, I'm explaining to you, I'm thankful for all these things you've given me, but I've got to do this. So I thought that that was actually kind of a dope intro getting into what he was going to say next. And then after that, Family Matters dropped. At the time, I didn't rate it super highly. I feel like this is where it's going to come tricky for some people that are Drake fans. I'd probably rate it an A and say that it's above all the others, but I don't know that it's above 616 because I really enjoyed that 616 track. And again, Family Matters wasn't just directed at Kendrick. You know what though? No, you know what? I might put it above it. I'll give him that. I'll put it above it. And then after the fact, I believe the whole Buried Alive interlude part 2, I'm just going to give that a C because again, it was very short. It wasn't anything crazy. It was more so another like jab, like, yo, you what are you going to do? What are you going to do kind of thing. And I mean, maybe I'll give it a B. Then you had Meet the Grams. That's S tier. There's no question about it. I don't care what anybody says. To me, this was the best diss track in all of this by far. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Now, first of all, as far as the whole Drake daughter thing, it's not been proven that he definitely doesn't have a daughter. He said that he doesn't, but a lot of other stuff is coming out with articles and shit that says that maybe he does. And so I don't know. I really don't care, to be honest with you. If you took the verse out where he spoke to his daughter that he supposedly is hiding, it's still the best diss track in this whole thing for me. It's still a W. And the reason why is it's the approach. The whole I'm sitting down and I'm writing a letter to his son. I'm writing a letter to his mom and his dad. And I'm describing different things and how, you know, you raised a bad son. Like that's how you diss people. You take an angle. Forget all this like, yo, I'm just going at you and just saying some bars and da-da-da-da. Like, you know, don't get me wrong. Like Drake got personal too, because he started to talk about Kendrick and his wife, which is why I think Family Matters is going to be the top tier for A. But as far as S tier, Meet the Grams was a whole different level. Writing those letters to all those different people and then writing one to Drake at the end and saying that it's a battle against himself. I just don't think that anybody did anything that's on that level at all. And I know some people actually put Not Like Us above Meet the Grams. I strongly disagree. I think Not Like Us it's really dope and it's funny. And, you know, it plays on some pretty serious allegations at the same time. And a lot of stuff has happened since then. My man had his house shot at. A security guard got shot in the chest. Hopefully he's doing okay. And apparently last night, somebody tried to trespass and they got arrested. So a lot of stuff is going down in Canada right now. My man Kendrick got shooters. I don't know that it's necessarily related, but, you know, people be out here wilding and stuff, crazy fans, all sorts of stuff like that. I would say Not Like Us. I'd probably put it above Family Matters and say that it's A. I know that a lot of people probably see it as S. And I understand. You guys can let me know down below what you think. And then you had the next track, The Heart Part 6. And this one I feel like has been very controversial as far as people's opinion on it. Some people feel like it's the worst diss of all of them. And other people seem to think that it might be the best of all of them. I thought that this was amazing. At this point, before this dropped, I thought Kendrick was burying this man. Like it was over with. Drake was in the grave. You know what I'm saying? They didn't padded it. The tombstone's up. It's over. Like that's how I felt at this point. But I will say that after listening to this, I feel like this man came up from the grave. This man was clawing for dear life to get up out that bitch. And I think that he did. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily agree with me. And at the time, I didn't know anything about that Kendrick song. So I thought that Kendrick did say that he had been molested in the song because I had never heard it. And so I just kind of went with what I was being told. And then I'm finding out that he didn't actually say that. But I've also seen some people spin a narrative that I think makes sense because in that song, he says that he was never believed. His mom had had trauma when she was growing up, and because of that, she was putting it on him, thinking that it must have happened to him too. And he kept saying, no, it didn't. No, it didn't. And I feel like not being believed was a trauma in itself, which I think he himself had even explained. And so it's not outside of the realm of possibility that Drake did know the song and did know that he said that he didn't, but also went the path of not believing him because that in itself was trauma to him. So now he's like, "Oh, I get it now. You were." To me, that angle makes this S tier. So I'm going to believe that he knew what he was doing and he's not that dumb to have just completely missed it and nobody in his team picked up on it and said anything to him. So I feel like it was a play on the entirety of that track saying I wasn't believed. And so he went the route of saying, "Well, I don't believe you either. It looks like you were. I get it." And I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And if I am, I'd say that it's probably tier A because I still think that it was a really good track and trying to play on that was still a smart move because there's not really any other way to come back from some of the stuff that he said. And I understand as well that people get mad because they're like, yo, making a diss and trying to attack somebody because you said that they had that happen to them is messed up. And I mean, I don't disagree that it's messed up, but at the same time, it's diss tracks. Like I've heard some of the most brutal, ruthless stuff ever in battle rap. And so for me, I guess I just don't really think about it like that. It's to me, it's an angle, right? And at the same time, rap talks about killing people all the time, right? So it's like, oh, well, people had this stuff happen to them growing up. And so you making a bar about it or, a section of your diss track about it is disrespectful for the people that have been through that trauma. And I just feel like, well, in rap, when you talk about you're killing somebody, whether or not you're lying about it, there's people who have had family members killed to gang violence and otherwise. And I feel like you're disregarding their trauma to having that happen to them, right? Like you can look at this in so many different ways and you could point out so many different things that happen in rap on a regular basis that also just kind of play on things that are traumatic to people and nobody seems to care. So I don't feel like I'm not concerned with it. I'm gonna be honest with you. My heart goes out to anybody that's been through stuff like that, but I just don't feel like it's an attack on people and people should really be super offended by it. The same as when comedy makes fun of different things. Like if it's not for you, it's not for you. I understand. But anyways, this would be the way that I have the tier list. I have no idea what the hell this is down here. It just looks like a little machine. So maybe again, I missed something along the diss tracks or that's somebody else that interjected that I just didn't listen to. But curious what you guys think. I'll be live tonight on Twitch cooking, and then we'll probably do some gaming. Tomorrow I'll be live doing music, Saturday doing music. So if you guys want to stop in and have a further discussion or want to come through and bring some music or talk about what I'm here, basically is what I'm saying. So this video probably won't get any views. Ain't nobody going to watch through me just waffling and chatting and messing up halfway through it. But you know what? I'm going to upload it anyway. Appreciate you guys that are still here. Take it easy. Stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one, homies.